package. Look, although we've heard about a stimulus package for employers where they can claim $1,500 per employee per fortnight, we can't really talk too much about that because it literally has happened as Brad and I were talking, preparing for the show. So we don't really know anything about it. But hey, Brad, how are you going?
Yeah, great, Kevin. Thanks very much for having me on the show, and look forward to helping everyone out there because it's a bit of a minefield and it's pretty confusing looking at all the different media releases and trying to make head nor tail of what people might or might not be eligible for.
And add to that, everybody, rumour, innuendo and hearsay, and it gets even worse. So we do want to go through and just the facts. So basically, we had a fairly detailed chat late last week about the second package that was put out and who people should be speaking to in relation to did they need to go and see an expert, or did they just need to go and see I was going to say the CES. I am showing my age. Centrelink and Centrelink, their bookkeeper. Who do they really need to be talking to? So, Brad, you're from Peak Partnership. You've got a number of partners in the accounting firm there, and I think you qualify as a small business. So, tell us a little bit more about Peak Partnership and your background.
So the Peak Partnership, we're accountants and financial advisors, and there's 5 of us partners there, and basically we deal with the small to medium businesses, the mum and dad businesses, anything from a startup right through to sort of 20 to 30 million turnover style thing. The ones that don't have their own team of internal accountants, they need advice and they're willing to let us get in the trenches and help them out. So we do everything from tax, accounting, and then financial planning as well, all the investments and super advice. So we can do look at someone's total financial picture and help them out, however much or however little they need us to. And all of us have worked in decent sized firms. I've been a small business owner myself and built one from the ground up. So all of that experience helps us.
And that's something that's really great, because I was speaking to you about the business that you have that has multiple entities within it, and your own applications for both the federal and state packages, and looking at what's available to that particular business. I know that your wife's an accountant and you must have really exciting dinner conversations. But, you know, we've joked about that once or twice.
We have, yeah.
So I just thought I'd share with everyone else.
It's riveting conversation over a dinner table.
But here's the thing. Brad is, living the dream with the rest of us as a business owner, as well as being an accountant and an owner of that accounting practice also. So he really is on top of what's happening here. So let's just start with the basics. And the first thing that's got people excited and confused and all that, it really is around the job subsidies. The initial round that was announced, where there was going to be a minimum of up to $20,000 and potentially $50,000 of funding. What do people need to do? And is it real money or is it just funny money?
Yeah, well, that one there, one of the misleading things when it was announced was that it was a cash payment, which is not really the truth. It's actually a credit to your ATO account. So when you lodge your March BAS, what they're saying is you'll get a credit for the pay-as-you-go withholding that you've paid for staff wages. And what that's designed to do is help employers keep staff on, because the government ultimately wants to keep more people in jobs if they can. So they've come up with that to help subsidise your employee wages. So essentially, for part of your wages, all you're doing is paying the net wages after tax. Out of pocket. The government will fund the other part. But what they do, they credit your BAS account, so that helps offset any GST that you would have owed. But then if your BAS account goes into negative, they'll refund you the money within 14 days, they say.
So there you go. So it isn't just funny money. There is real funds there if you're not, if you don't have a quarterly BAS of over $10,000.
Absolutely.
So that's really good news for people.
Just one other point, Kevin, with that is for the small business that might only be paying a small amount of wages, there's a minimum level of 10 grand. So if you only withhold 2 grand, you'll get 10 paid back. So that can be a real boost to the smaller end of the businesses.
Right. Now, It says employing entities. So does that need to be a company, or is it, can you employ people without having a company structure?
Absolutely. You can be a sole trader, you can be a partnership, you can be a company trust. Virtually any of those can be an employer. It's just that sole traders and partnerships, you can't employ yourself. It's got to be other employees. But you could, if you had 2 or 3 staff helping you out in a shop or something, that would classify as employees, and you'd be eligible to get that. Now, that first payment we were talking about before, that's going to get doubled. So if you get the minimum 10 in the March BAS, you'll then get another 10 across June, July, August, September. So that can be a good payment to those small businesses, and those that are paying staff and don't get the payment, they're still saving an awful lot on their BAS payment over the next 6 months.
Absolutely, which will help you with cash flow and everything else. And we did have Tim Wilshire the other day talking about the government being very understanding of the situation that they're putting everyone in by trying to put the economy into a hibernation state. And so at the moment, the tax office is your friend. They're not going to be aggressively chasing any tax debts because they understand the unemployment that they could create by doing so. So very.
Absolutely, and we've noticed that already in the last 2 weeks. The ATO, have to give them credit, they've been extremely helpful. So ATO and the major banks, they've never been more helpful. Your best bet with the ATO, get on the phone and talk to them, or get your accountant on the phone to talk to them if you're struggling, and they're very willing to work with you.
And that was the next part of the stimulus package that came out. It was talking about the about getting a loan, and the government being 50%, basically guaranteeing 50% of the loan, and the banks not being able to ask you to be guarantor as well.
That's right. Yeah. So what you do there is you actually have to go direct to your bank. So it's the bank that you usually bank with. They're the best ones to go to because they've got your history. So that sort of loan, you can go anywhere up to 250 grand, depending on, but you will be subject to the normal bank criteria. What I've heard of bank managers is they're not going to penalise you just for the last month or two if your income's really dropped. It's like a look through that they're having, saying, was the business good before? And do they think if they help you through, it can look good again? And if so, that'll help get you over the line. Otherwise, just about no business in Australia would actually qualify for a loan at the moment. So they're certainly willing to work. And that beauty about that, as you said, is it's unsecured. So you're not putting your house on the line to do it because the government's backed at 50%.
So if at the moment I have a line of credit with the bank and I'm looking to extend that line of credit to get past this, would I be able to do that?
You can go for any bank funding you like at the moment, if provided you match criteria. If you had a line of credit and you wanted to extend it, talk to your bank. But this is a separate facility, so you need to go through a separate loan application because it's a specific facility the government has told the banks to do. And what they did is the RBA lent all the major banks very, very cheap money. We're talking like nearly $100 billion so that they could on-lend it to small business for this reason.
Cool. So you would potentially, if you had a line of credit that was had your personal guarantees on it at the moment, I'd probably encourage you to be speaking to your bank about looking at funding under this new scenario to get your name off that.
Yeah, there's various things like that you'd want to consider, and especially because the situation's changed so much, and through no fault of most people's. They've been running their business as a very good business, and all of a sudden just the situation's changed and certain things got done and out of their control. So now's the time. Lean on the bank that you've been with. It's about time they gave something back. And to be honest, most of them are being very open. Any of the dealings I've had with them has been pretty positive so far.
Excellent. The other thing, and here's just a little aside, I was speaking to a finance broker the other day, and mortgage rates obviously have there's been a positive response with a lot of the banks with mortgage rates. And if you actually approach them about getting a discount, you're probably going to have a very good chance of them dropping that. If you don't approach banks, as we learned in the Royal Commission, they're not going to come out and tell you you can get a great reduction on your home loan rate.
Exactly.
But if you go and have a chat with them, you can probably do quite well and probably drop, even upwards of 1% on your already thing. Particularly if you have a loan that's starting with a 3 even at the moment, go and have a chat to your bank, because you may be able to get that down into the 2s, potentially even low 2s. So, which is pretty unprecedented in my grown-up lifetime. I can't recall it being anywhere near that.
No. Well, what we're finding is we're doing a lot of work with clients in the last couple of weeks around business continuity planning, because there are all these different things going on that can really help business owners. And it's about working out what the outlook for your business is and then taking advantage of what's available and not thinking, oh, look, I don't need anyone's help. This is unprecedented times, and there are all these things there, and the government and the banks and everyone are putting it in place to try and get you through so that you're a good business and employ people on the other side. So they want to help you through. They don't want to see you fail. So you want to have a look at what's available and use it.
Absolutely. Look, so many businesses are struggling with cash flow, and this is the thing that stops most small businesses from growing. Right now, the government is going, we're here to help you. So please put your ego aside for the moment. If you can, if your business has been affected, and if you don't have a corporate structure, go to Centrelink and have a chat with them. Even if you don't qualify for a Centrelink payment, you may still qualify for the stimulus package payment. So it's very important that you could still get that $550. Even so, the government's just announced the other thing. We're not sure about the details of that, with the $1,500 per fortnight for people within a company. That will bring us to the disaster relief stuff, Brad.
Yes.
We were talking about. And there's a couple of different measures that can affect us in relation to that, can affect us in a positive way in relation to that. Let's have a quick chat about that. One was the you can trade insolvent, which is really never been seen as socially acceptable.
No, well, look, it happens all the time. But the issue is, and this is for company directors. So if you're running a company, whether it's big or small, as a director, you've got a legal duty not to trade insolvently, meaning that the company's got to be able to pay its bills as they become due. So if you find that you can't pay the bills of the company, chances are you're trading insolvently. Now, in the past, if a director just kept going when they knew it should be insolvent, they've seen it and they just bury their head in the sand and they keep going, they can be personally liable for those debts they rack up. Whereas in this case, the government's given people a 6-month reprieve and said, well, there won't be any actions about insolvent trading on directors for this 6-month period, given they know full well that a lot of businesses, to get through the other side, are going to actually probably need to trade insolvently because they're getting all these handouts and everything off the government. But they've said, well, we want to get you through to the other side, so we won't force your hand. Because what you typically have to do, if you realise you're trading insolvently, to get out of being personally liable, you've got to go and put your company in administration and hand it to someone else as an administrator, and they might liquidate it. So this gives you that reason not to have to pull the trigger straight away. You can actually try and work your way through it.
Excellent. So there's that. On top of that, there's also the raising of the creditor or debtor reporting thing.
Yeah, there is. So there's, instead now, to actually force a statutory demand and basically take someone to court and try and close them down, it's raised from $2,000 to $20,000. So that's for a debt. Now, the other thing that goes with that is you actually, if you get served with a statement of claim, you actually have up to 6 months now from 21, what used to be about 21 days. So they're essentially saying, we understand people are going to get into trouble at times, but let's try and find a way for the businesses to work together and try and find payment plans or a way through, rather than just quick fire, go to court. Otherwise, in times like this, someone might just pull the trigger and start a court case.
Absolutely. And the really important thing here is it's not saying that the government's going, it's okay, just not pay bills.
No, no.
They're saying you need to keep working through, keep prioritising, keep working through, and making sure that you are coming out the other side. So it's not a free for all, go and act irresponsibly and all that sort of stuff. It really is about making sure that you are on top of stuff. So
That's right.
there is that. The next thing. So we did talk about the sole traders, and we mainly talked about going to Centrelink if you have had a drop of 20%. Basically you don't actually have to go physically to Centrelink. You can ring them up. I believe the lines would probably be a little more free now than they were a week ago. So please get on and register, because there is still coming up the $750 initial incentive payment.
Yes.
Or then they start doing the $550 payments per fortnight. If, as I said, and even if your partner is earning $48,000 and they're not giving you the full amount, you will still get the full amount of the stimulus package portion of that. So it is something. Still be timely about it and do what you can. But Centrelink are the right people. Unfortunately, Brad's not going to be able to help you with that.
No, that's you've got to go to Centrelink for that. No accountant or bookkeeper is going to be a specialist in that area.
Now, for people who are looking for that extra bit of working capital and looking to use their superannuation fund, not an ideal time to be drawing money out of your superannuation fund, but if you do need to, is your financial advisor the right person to go to, or what are the criteria before you can do that?
Yeah, well, this is where sole traders can access it, as well as workers. If an employee, if their hours drop by 20%, that would qualify, just like a sole trader that can prove their income's dropped. But yeah, certainly you want to go to whoever handles your superannuation to get some advice. Whether that, if you've got a financial advisor, go to them first, because they're going to be your best port of call, and they'll also most likely be able to mix that with Centrelink stuff as well. Or if you're not with a financial advisor, go to your super funds. If you're with an industry super fund or a big public super fund, they're going to have people in there that can help you. They would have set up extra phone lines with advisors that can help. If you're with a self-managed super fund, see whoever does the fund as in your accountant.
Excellent. And these are really important points, because with the Centrelink payments, if you're earning just below, if your earnings have dropped but just below that $48,000 at the moment, then you're still able to get the extra $26,000 from Centrelink. Okay, so it's a fair, that'll take you up to $75,000, and as your income is bouncing back on the other side of this, you can still keep claiming, but that will be reduced just 50 cents in the dollar. So, basically they're still going to support you whilst you're getting your business back on its feet. It's not going to be, okay, party's over and you can all go back to struggle again. The government really is making sure that they're coming out with as full employment as they possibly can. And this is really what they are very, very concerned about. The final thing is really on the other side, and it is the assistance package in getting back. Once again, there's more loans. What's that? The back to business investment.
Oh, the instant asset write-off change.
There you go. Yeah. So I'm more confused.
So this is where the government, they've had in place for a while that if a small business wants to go, and that's someone under $50 million, so everyone that'd be watching this, if they bought an asset that was $30,000 or less, they could write that off fully in the first year rather than depreciate it across 6 or 8 years or whatever. Now the government's lifted that limit to 150 grand. So the only thing that you'd want to watch is if you're trying to buy a luxury car, don't expect that you'll get the full 150. But if you're buying equipment for your business, yeah, it could be a big boost, because it means you're not paying tax in the first year on that. Because you're getting a far bigger tax write-off immediately rather than spread that over a number of years.
Excellent. So there's an array of assistance packages there. It isn't automatically just run to your accountant and go and have a chat, although I know a lot of accountants at the moment are offering a lot of free chats to a lot of their clients to help them through this time. I'm not putting the hard word on you at all yet. Brad, I'll do that privately. But obviously, they're running a lot of information sessions for their clients and that sort of stuff. They are speaking to people individually. They are doing everything they can to make sure that you're getting through this as well. If you've got a great, if you're closer to your bookkeeper and they're the first port of call, have a chat with your bookkeeper. Get the right advice so that you can have what you need to survive through this time period, and use this time period, particularly while there's this hibernation zone, use it to work on your business as much as in your business. Yes, you do need to be. The one thing I want to ask people to do, or I want to encourage people to do, is not to cut out their entire marketing budget. Because if you're not marketing your business now, you'll be behind the eight ball to people who have been throughout this time period. So please think about that side of it. Think about the things that you do need to do, that you need to be redesigning. If you need to be improving different processes, if you need to catch up on systemizing and automating different parts of your business, think about that. Right now, I guess everybody is thinking about how can we work more remotely. And I actually think that that's going to be a big, big benefit that we get out of this time period, is that work will be a whole lot more flexible on the other side of this situation, which will be great for both employees and businesses. It'll be great for business owners because you're more used to working remotely, which should be able to help you out. Somebody here has got, for the instant asset write-off, it's only to June 30 this year at this stage for the 150,000 limit.
Yes, yep.
And somebody else asking, do you think that they'll extend that? We're not really sure. It is a moving feast. We're not sure how long a period people are going to require assistance for. But the one thing the government said is, look, 2 weeks ago, they were looking at having a surplus. Right now, they're going, let's not worry so much about that. Let's worry about how we can help the nation come through as strongly as possible.
I think that's a fair point, Kevin. With a lot of the stimulus stuff, it's all a rush and it's unprecedented. So you never know. They'll put it in, see how it goes till June 30, and then they might very well extend it. They did with the smaller amounts. They realised they needed to keep it up. So because for that sort of stimulus, when people are getting on their feet, if they do go and buy all this equipment or cars or whatever, that flows money through the economy and then gives other businesses income. So there is a positive to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not just completely let's all go to sleep for the next 3, 4, 6 weeks, whatever it's going to be. It really is, hey, how can we position our business better right now? Because there's a lot of people still looking for help. One of the things we're going to be doing here at Business Small Business is we're going to start running different education to help all small business owners. We'll get experts in different field, in the marketing field, in automation, and across a range of fields, so that we'll be running 3 different programs a day at 9 o'clock in the morning, typically at midday, and then again at 4, so that you've got something that you can learn to work on your business, or see if there's another opportunity that you might be able to make available for your particular business. And I think that's the best thing that we can be doing. The other thing I do want to encourage people is we have got the directory there. It is there to make it easier for people to do business together. One of the conversations I've had with many people who've been in the group much longer is a lot of them no longer put a request for does anyone know a plumber or an accountant or something into the group, because they just get so smashed by the response, and they'd much prefer to go and hunt without having that pressure of people saying, pick me, pick me, pick me. And so they are going straight to the directory. So, we do have the basic package there for $12 for the entire year, so $1 a month. If you're looking at marketing your business, please think about putting it on Business Small Business, because that will help us run this group better. It'll help us create more opportunities for you as well. So please, I want you to think about what you're doing to make the most of this particular situation. So thanks very much, guys. Brad, and the team at Peak Partnership. You've looked after me really well over the years, and thank you very much for your time today. I really like the fact that you do come at it from the point of view as an accountant, but also with that other hat as a business owner as well. And I think that makes a real difference to how to the advice that you're often giving when we're having a chat about different stuff. So thank you very much for your time today.
No, thanks very much for having me. And yeah, just want to get out and help as many people get through this as we can. If we all stick together and form a great community, everyone's going to be far better off for it.
Absolutely. If you don't have an accountant, please think of Brad. We were talking to Tim Wilshire, who's at Nunda the other day. And tomorrow I've actually got Alan Mason, who is in Spring Hill or the Fortitude Valley. He might even call it Bowen Hills there. They're all so close. But in a city anyway. He's going to talk to us about what the state government is offering. And it sounds like I need to go and find somebody else to talk about the package that's been announced only just before this particular show. That's how fast stuff is moving here. I know that we don't all just want accounting advice, though. So we will be moving very quickly to talking to marketers and how they can help us, and looking at putting some really cool information in the group. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, not 9 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, I've got Ray Armitage and Neil Munro talking about creating a 100-day action plan. So what you can do to stimulate your business over just 100 days. Thinking 2 years into the future right now is like so long-range planning. It's not funny. What do you need to do in that next 100 days? And we're going to talk about that. And I also am speaking to Andrew Tennant at lunchtime, and that will be about mindset and what you need to do about thinking about your thinking and how you're thinking about business. So a very interesting day tomorrow. 2 days' time is long-range planning for me. I can't even think about what I've got on Wednesday or Thursday then. So thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you giving your time up for this particular show. Thanks a lot again, Brad, and we'll catch you all soon.
No problem. See you soon.